Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new video. In today's video, we're going to be looking at the redistricting process and where it is as of right now. So before we get started, I want to wish all of you a happy holiday season. I know, by the way, I think I mentioned it in the previous video, but if I did not, happy Hanukkah if you're Jewish, if you celebrate Hanukkah. I hope you all are having a great start to your December. I know Hanukkah ended a few days ago, but I think I mentioned, in case I didn't though, happy Hanukkah either way. So we're going to hop into it with just a brief look at some of these states' redistricting maps, and we're also going to do some more in-depth looks at some of the bigger maps. And I'm actually filming this because I got some suggestions, and I was like, I filmed the New Mexico video, and I was like, oh shoot, I need to do this because I know I've got a few suggestions for that. So my apologies, I blanked. My head was totally in the clouds, as I like to say. But yeah, so we're just going to be looking at some of these states in their and I'll also do Illinois too. But yeah, so before we get started with this video, I do want to say that, or at least you're in the videos that's related, but I'm gonna release a house ratings map once every state has confirmed their map. Most states have either confirmed their map or proposed a map. But I do think that we should see a sort of forecast released by me once every state has confirmed their boundaries. And again, seats that voted for Biden by a point in 2020 are probably not going to be seats Democrats are favored in. So just because the seat is painted a light shade of blue does not mean it's going to be blue. And there might be some Trump seats that vote Democrat in 2022 anyways. So yeah. Now we're going to hop into it and just kind of go in order of geography. So Oregon is what I would call a textbook gerrymander, and by that what I mean is, the lines are ugly without being illegal. It's a smart gerrymander on the Democrats' part. The partisan lean is D+3, meaning that it's going to vote about 3% to the left of the country. So, if the country was, say 48-48, the Democrats would probably win the seat by about 3% if the national environment was even. Now, this seat could flip in 2022. I don't think it will because the Democrats have some decent incumbents like Kurt Schrader, who's probably going to get primaried anyways. I don't know, but he's a strong candidate because he's moderate and, he has appealed to plenty of suburban Republicans who voted for Trump anyways. He did get some crossover support in 2020. He got plenty of Trump voters to vote for him. So, Kurt Schrader as a candidate, not a shabby candidate. He's also someone who I think is going to probably do the whole, moderate rhetoric thing anyways. So I'm more interested in the primary than the results because I think that if Schrader does win the primary, he'll probably win by a likely margin, if I'm being completely honest, in this seat. Like, even if the Republicans win the generic ballot by 4 or 5% in 2020, I do not see them picking up a seat in Oregon. But yeah, Oregon textbook gerrymander, as you can see, cities like Eugene and Bend were kind of, manipulated. So Eugene was a big part of this district, and then Bend is kind of, the thing. Because, Deschutes County is, I can, trace Deschutes County. I don't have a... Well, actually, no, we can do... Actually, this is helpful. Oh, I've never used this before. This is fun. Okay. So, Deschutes County is... it'll go after a while. But Deschutes County is essentially this area. And as you can see in this area, you're kind of having a conservative rural parts out here being Republican, and then you're going to have the city of Bend, which is more Democratic in here. So they kind of split Deschutes County that way and are now making a seat out of it. So you kind of got the suburbs of Portland, some red areas, then Bend, the city, making the seat blue. And then you've got, some lean to likely Democrat seats over here. Peter DeFazio is going to win. He won in 2020 against a pretty strong opponent. The seat's open. I don't know, because Oregon gained a seat, and it's going to probably be a Democratic seat. So I don't really know but the 6th district as of right now, but I guess it's going to stay Democratic. Now, actually, we'll go in alphabetical order because this. So, Colorado, so relative to a state like Oregon, which, as you can see, actually, no, let's do, what's a good example of this? Maybe, let me see, hold on. Let's actually sort this out, because Colorado, I know that they, whoa, I did not want to do that. They approved their map. Yeah, actually, you know what? I'll say this. So this is Colorado's map. They had quite a few plans. You can go through all their plans. I think, back in October they had 20 plans you could view. Yeah, right here. they had a lot of plans. But in the end, the Colorado Supreme Court held up this plan, and Colorado was one of the first states to start the redistricting process back in May, and they are one of the first states to approve their map. So as you can see here, you're going to get two pretty safe seats in Denver for the Democrats. The second district is also pretty safe. Jonah Goose probably going to hold on there. Seventh district is a little ugly because I think Colorado's kind of precincts, like, they slope down like this. It's really weird. Ed Perlmutter's probably going to win re-election, though. And then you've got this seat over here, which is the 8th district, which is GOP plus 3. We trending blue, though. So if I were a betting man, I'd say it stays red in 2022, but probably flips in 2024 based on how quick the Denver suburbs are trending. Again, I don't know who's running in this district. It really depends on candidate quality here. But I would say that, the partisan makeup is 4 Democratic seats for 2022, probably 3 pretty safe Republican seats. Lauren Boebert's going to get a challenge. She'll probably go within 10 because this seat's, semi-competitive. But, I think Colorado's going to be a 4-4 congressional delegation after 2022, which is a seat gain for the Republicans, but long-term, the 8th district, not good for them. Now, going over to the state of Illinois, and actually we can go to Florida real quick, because they've got a proposed plan, which the Republicans drew. I think it was the first one. I don't really know, but what I will say is that the maps that Republicans are drawing in Florida are pretty conservative, not in the sense that you kind of have it being favoring conservatives, but they're not really taking too much of a risk here. Like, they're gerrymandering the state quite efficiently, but it's not going to be super egregious like Texas or North Carolina, and it's not going to violate any laws. So, they're being pretty nice to Democrats right now just to not really risk their incumbents. They're also not going to axe the 3rd district. There was some discourse that, the Republicans were going to get rid of this district. There's no reason to. It's a black opportunity district. It's plurality black, and it's going to stay, for being completely honest here. Al Austin going to hold on no matter what. So, just like, say, Florida, the Republicans are obviously going to hold the majority of seats there in 2022, barring something insane happening. But it could be a lot worse for Democrats in Florida right now. Now, Illinois, which I pulled up earlier, actually I might as well just close these tabs because there's really no point of me having them up. I'm just going to do it like this. But Illinois, what I'll say is, the Democrats went really ham on Illinois. Look, some of these districts are absolutely atrocious. The 16th district is, awful. For example, the 17th grabs the city of Rockford and goes around, a bunch of areas in northern Illinois, and the 16th just takes the rest of these conservative areas. Cherry Bustos, who is retiring, her seat's going to probably stay blue. I don't know. It is D plus 4, so it's going to be competitive at the very least. But with Cherry Bustos retiring, I don't really know how it's going to go. It probably stays Democrat, but going to be interesting to watch. Now, this district, the 13th, not the 11th, is D plus 7, I believe. And, that's pretty solid for Democrats. Springfield's not, trending red or anything, so I don't think that, the Democrats are losing any support. It's probably going to stay lean to likely Democrat this decade. So Illinois, pretty safe, 14-3 makeup. Again, there are some lighter blue seats in suburban Illinois, but Lauren Underwood's a big overperformer. She's going to win. Bill Foster and, I don't know, I believe, I'll try to pronounce this, Raja Krishnamurthy. I hope I'm able to pronounce that because I should be able to pronounce that, but hopefully I got that right. Anyways, the Democrats are not presumably going to be losing any seats in suburban Chicago, mostly because Chicago's been the suburbs have been trending blue, I should say, and Illinois had some pretty encouraging signs for Democrats, and suburban Chicago is actually growing as a whole, I think. So I would say that at the end of the day, it's probably going to stay blue. I don't see it getting any more competitive than 3 or 4%, if I'm being honest here. Michigan, it's mostly state legislative that I'm looking at. Now, North Carolina, they approved a map, but it looks like it's gonna get overturned, and I'll tell you why. So Mark E. Elias, again, he's a Democratic lawyer. Again, I'm not saying he's completely objective here, but he is right in that the North Carolina Supreme Court, which is, I think, majority Democrat, did block candidate filing periods, so you can't run for House North Carolina until it resolves the redistricting lawsuit that has been filed against Republican gerrymandered maps. So, look, North Carolina is a state that Republicans have had a history of gerrymandering in, and the Democrats actually might be able to overturn this. I said earlier that I wouldn't bank on North Carolina being overturned, but the Democrats seem to be doing all right in terms of this map. They're trying to label it as a racial gerrymander and say that it's diluting black voting power. and I'm not going to comment on that for right now, mostly because I haven't looked at the map. I do think that it does underrepresent black voters, which is an issue, but whether the Democrats are able to overturn that, I'm not sure about yet. But it does look like North Carolina's going to have a bit of a legal problem with their map, so I'd say this is, if I had to bet, I don't think this map's going to stay. It could very well stay, though, but the lawsuit's going to really determine everything here. And in the end, we might actually see a Supreme Court drawn map, or a North Carolina Supreme Court drawn map, which would favor the Democrats more so than the Republicans anyways. Now, Ohio's similar. It does look, it's not great because it's, I'd say, a pretty risky bet for Republicans because, they basically just threw two super Democratic seats for Shontel Brown and for Joyce Betty. And, vote sinks in Cleveland, Columbus, typical, gerrymandering. But they do, I think they made a big mistake in Cincinnati because things could get dicey here. So, first of all, you've got a seat that is GOP plus 3 that I guarantee you the Democrats are going to flip before the end of the decade. I'm so sure. I'd bet a lot of money that the 1st District flips before the end of the decade because Cincinnati's trending blue. It's getting bluer every year, and the suburbs of Cincinnati are still quite red, and Democrats have a lot of room to improve because, they're doing a lot better in Franklin County and the Delaware County suburbs near Columbus. They're doing better in Summit and Akron counties in northern Ohio. And in the 1st District, or in, I guess I should say, Hamilton County, Cincinnati, it does look like they're making improvements. Obviously, Biden didn't actually do that well in the Hamilton County suburbs, but he did better than Clinton, better than Richard Cordray in most cases. Obviously not better than Sherrod Brown, but I would say at least that these areas are trending blue for sure. And, the Democrats have a lot of room to improve here. So I think that, the Republicans might have shot themselves in the foot with this because it's kind of a, they've been quite conservative in other areas like Florida where they're not risking any flips for Democrats and just packing them into as many seats as possible. But here, they took a big risk with Steve Cabot. And, yeah, he'll probably hold on in 2022, but 2024, 2026, 2028, 2030, that's a big gamble. And if it gets really bad, we could see them kind of slipping over into the 10th district, which Dayton, Dayton's getting bluer, and we could see the 10th district getting competitive. I don't think it'll flip before the end of the decade, but it's going to get competitive at least. And, they really gambled here. Same with the 13th district with Anthony Gonzalez. He's kind of a dicey incumbent because he voted to impeach Trump or to remove Trump from office in January of this year. So, I don't know where people stand on him, at least, for the Trump people. I don't know if he'll get primaries successfully. He probably is going to get a formidable challenge. I don't know if it'll be successful, though. Anyways, that seat will be competitive no matter what, because it is only R+4. Now, going over to the state of Texas, another state to watch here. Texas is, I've looked at this map a lot, and it's a pretty, I'll be real, it's a bad map, so much so that I think it deserves its own video. I'll talk about that in another video. But anyways, I think I should move on from Texas because I'll do a whole other video on that soon. Alabama's going to, stay as it is. There was talk about, I don't know where it came from, but people were saying they might draw a second blue district to make, more majority black districts. No, they're not going to do that. The GOP has no reason to draw an extra blue seat no matter what, and they just kept it the way it is. In Colorado, talked about that. Delaware, obviously only one seat there. Idaho, not really too much going on there, but Boise, they kind of just cracked, the city and the suburbs to make sure nothing gets, within 30 points. Of, this seat might be 20 points at best for Democrats, but it doesn't really matter. Indiana, the Republicans could have really axed Frank Mervyn, and they didn't. And they kept his seat at, a likely D status. And, I think that they should have, in terms of their, if I were a Republican strategist, I would have said that they should have nuked this district because Gary's trending red. It's decreasing in population. Yeah, you could say that the Chicago exurbs are going to grow eventually into Gary, but, the city is getting redder in these areas. These working class areas in northern Indiana are just only getting more conservative anyways, so I would say that, they could have easily just cracked it between the 4th, which is 33-point district for them, and then the 26-point district with Jackie Walorski. They probably didn't want to risk anything with South Bend because they thought it might get bad if, South Bend or the areas kind of surrounding Gary exploded and got a lot bluer. Something happened that might have been a risk to this district, but I really don't think it would have happened. It's, more, incredibly unlikely. So Indiana, the Republicans were very conservative there. They didn't draw anything for Democrats. The Democrats got a win there for sure. They did show up Victoria Sparks, though, so, it's a win for them. But they were, showing up to 5th, the Republicans could have gotten a lot more aggressive. Iowa, Democrats actually got kind of bailed out here because the Republicans still kept drawing 2 competitive districts, which I don't know why they did that. I think they really should have just shored up Cindy Axne and kept it in like a D plus 10 or 11 seat and then had the rest of the seats be likely to stay Republican. I don't know why they didn't do that. Whatever. But Cindy Axne is going to probably lose re-election. I don't know how much trouble she thinks she's in, but she's, in a seat that's going to vote 2% to the right of the national environment projected. I would not be optimistic in her re-election chances, especially in a year like 2022, which is probably going to be a seat that votes, a year that's going to be quite Republican anyways. And for the 1st District, Marinette Miller Meeks, she won by 6 votes in 2020. She probably win by a little more this time because she'll be in a seat that actually is quite Republican. I mean, not quite, but it'll be more Republican than it was before. And she'll be in a much more favorable year for Republicans. So I think that she'll probably win by like 7 or 8 if I'm being honest here. Cindy Axne probably loses by about a point or 2 because she did win in a Trump district, so she's an overperformer for sure. But how much she can overperform is the real question. In Maine, they're not going to change it at all. Jared Golden's seat got like a little more Democratic. It got like about a point more Democratic, but I don't really think that matters anyways. He's probably going to win re-election because Jared Golden wins elections in like Maine, which makes no sense to me. I thought he was going to lose for Biden in 2020. I changed it to, I think, lean Democrat on election day, but like I remember thinking he might be a dark horse flip. Massachusetts, I don't really want to talk about that's going to be saved Democratic seats. Montana, the Democrats, so I think long-term this is good for them because Missoula's growing. It's like a pretty progressive city anyways, and the suburbs of Missoula are getting bluer. And the 1st District is going to be, I think, competitive. Like, by 2026 or 2028, I think it's going to be a toss-up, if we're being honest. Like, Steve Bullock might run, and, he makes this race maybe, like, lean to tilt Republican, but I don't really know why I don't really, look, 2022 is going to be a bad year for Democrats, and I don't think they should, have a wide, because if they act like it's 2018 and they start playing offense, like they start, going, playing a wide map and running, trying to invest in, every race a little bit, that's going to be bad for them because they're going to end up losing a bunch of close races anyways and make, maybe they'll make seats like the 1st District a little more competitive, but it doesn't really matter if they still lose them. So I'd say at least that 2022 should be pretty solid for Republicans. Now, 2024, 2026, 2028, different stories. I think that by the end of the decade, the seat could get pretty interesting because Missoula is growing because it's getting more and more progressive, and because the Republicans don't really have an incumbent for this seat either way. Now, to go over to our next state here, Nebraska, they could have shored up Don Bacon. They really didn't, though. He's still going to be in an R+3 seat, which I think would have voted for Biden by about 4 or 5%, maybe. I don't know. I think it might be a little less. Either way, I think he's going to win re-election 2022 at least because it's just such a Republican year. Nevada, the Democrats could have gotten a lot more aggressive here. They really didn't, though. They kind of kept it the way that it was. They kind of split Las Vegas more to make every seat lean D instead of having one safe seat and then 2 toss-ups. It's kind of a risk. In a really weird year for Democrats, we could see Republicans having all 4 seats just because these seats are so competitive. But Nevada's really inelastic, so I think Democrats are kind of banking on there not being any super weird trends anytime soon, which they're probably going to be right about. The Nevada Democrats are really good at winning elections, so I would say that they're going to hold these seats. Maybe not Susie Lee, but Dina Titus probably should hold her seat, and Stephen Horsford as well in North Carolina. This, again, talked about this map going to likely get overturned. Ohio talked about that. Oklahoma, nothing much going on there. They just shored up Stephanie Bice. She's going to win re-election easily. She'll win by 25 instead of 8, probably. Oregon we talked about. South Dakota isn't yet not really too much going on there. Texas we'll talk about another video. Utah, the Republicans, they really gerrymandered it. Here they cracked Salt Lake City into not 3 but 4 districts, which is not going to backfire because as you can see all these seats are at least GOP plus 20, and this is I think a textbook gerrymander again. Salt Lake City absolutely cracked between these 4 districts. Ogden, the city of Ogden got kind of put mostly in the 1st District, but it doesn't really matter because it's not that big of a city relative to the rural areas up here and, the Salt Lake City suburbs that are still quite red. I think the 1st District, will get most competitive by the end of the decade. Could be, at best for Democrats, maybe GOP plus 10 if they play their cards right, but I don't really know yet. It's hard to predict trends in 2 years from now, let alone 8 years from now. So we'll have to see where we're at then. But Utah, textbook gerrymander, Republicans are going to hold all 4 seats there. Virginia's getting dicey too. I'll talk about that in a separate video because it's too much to cover. But what I will say is that I think that's it for this video. West Virginia, obviously 2 Republican seats just to prove that. But yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it informative. It was quite long. It was kind of like a run-on video where I just like go through a list of states and I cover it, just kind of do a brief overview. Texas and Virginia have really interesting stuff going on right now, but I think that's the update for right now. Again, if you have a takeaway from this video, let it be that, 2022 is not going to be a good year for Democrats. It's not going to be a year where Democrats make too many gains. They're probably going to lose the generic ballot. They're probably going to lose the popular vote. But what I will say is that, at least on the redistricting front, they're winning that war because they've been aggressive in areas like New York and Illinois, whereas in California too, because the commission is going to draw quite a Democratic map. Republicans have not been aggressive in areas like Florida or Indiana or Nebraska where they could have been more aggressive. So that's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you all in the next one.